This week on Music Worth Buying, we're going to be looking at the debut album by Hozier
and the legendary power pop band Big Star.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Music Worth Buying. My name's TJR.
And my name is Robert Kinsler.
That's right. I'm a musician.
And I'm a music writer and
That's
a musician, right?
And I'm a music writer too. Okay, we've covered that.
Okay.
Good. All right. So we both got some albums we want to talk about, some music we're excited about that we want to share with you. Hope you'll be excited about it too. And I'm going to start off with the debut album by Irish music artist Hozier. Now, Hozier is no stranger to Music Worth Buying. I first featured his single, Take Me to Church, on the Single of the Week feature here on Music Worth Buying. And then, of course, I talked about him when I did my report on the iTunes Festival and just raved about the performance, really liked the songwriting. And so after seeing the performance, I was very excited to hear the album. The album does not disappoint. This is a very impressive debut. I can't say enough good things about it. If I had to describe the music, I would say blues, gospel, soul, a bit of Irish folk, although he's being labeled as like a folk singer-songwriter, but I feel he's more of a soul, gospel R&B artist, in my opinion, personally. There's a few songs that are kind of folk-sounding. And I think that fans of Van Morrison are going to really like this guy, and I think fans of Elton John are really going to like him too. So I'm going to play you a track from this album right now. It's called Angel of Small Death and Codeine Scene. And with a title like that, you know it's got to be good.
Alone or myself could I be? Looks like a strain to the arms that were open. No shortage of sordid, no protest from me. With her sweet and breath and her tongue so mean, she's the angel of small death and the codeine scene.
You know, that is really interesting. I like his voice. I see the comparison to Van Morrison, but also, you know, very unique. I mean, I've just what I've heard so far, I definitely want to hear the rest of the album.
Yeah, this is, there is, to me, I bring up the Elton John comparison because of the gospel influence. When you look at early Elton John, those early albums, there's such a huge gospel influence. And even in his more commercial days, later 70s, like Yellow Brick Road and that sort of thing, those albums, there's still that huge gospel influence. It's just a little more pop sheen sounding. But there's that huge gospel influence, but there's also the blues going on with him too.
You hear that.
And there is, his lyrics are extremely poetic. They're very much open to sometimes multiple interpretations, but there is this strong emphasis of dealing with sex, love, and religious iconography. And in fact, I haven't seen anybody use religious iconography as well, probably since Bono, really, as far as using that lyrically, poetically within his lyrics. Right. But yeah, I think his lyrics might either frustrate or really please listeners based on how literal you need your lyrics to be to be able to enjoy them. I'm happy with both. I think there's a place for very literal lyrics. I think you can also hit people over the head too much sometimes. And I think there's a place for more poetic lyrics. But I think there's also a point where you are just being way too over-pretentious with it. I don't feel he's too over-pretentious with these lyrics.
Yeah, and I haven't heard enough to say that with certainty. But yeah, what I've heard so far, it's more like, you know, you want to see what he's saying and then maybe how to interpret it.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it's open to more than one thing. But there is definitely these recurring themes of love, obsession for love, and just sex, really. But very poetically stated.
Yeah, very poetic,
You know, depending on how you feel about that. Packaging-wise, this album comes in a standard jewel case, and front and back right there. And it does come with a very nice booklet. I like the cover art. I like the art that surrounds the lyrics. The lyrics are very easy to read. I think it's just beautiful, beautiful artwork with the lyrics. And then that's about it. And then just the usual, you know, credits and notes and that sort of thing. But I do like this booklet. I think it's very nicely done. And just a quick look, here's the CD itself, and I'll open this up for you too. And just more of the same artwork here on the inside of the disc here
Very
the jewel
cohesive
case.
how everything
Yeah.
goes together.
Oh, yeah, it's very nicely put together in my opinion. So we will check out another song. This is a song. I think this should be the next single. I'll just go ahead and say it. "Take Me to Church" was the first single. It came out before the album, and this one is called "Someone New." This is just one of those songs. Once you hear that chorus, even after the song's over with, you're going to hear that chorus running through your head. It's just that catchy, in my opinion. Here we go. Check it out.
Great.
If there was a right way, honey, there is no right way. So I fall in love just a little bit every day with someone new. I fall in love just a little bit every day with someone new. I fall in love just a little bit every day with someone new. I fall in love just a little.
And that was "Someone New," and off the debut album by Hozier. And so is the chorus rolling around in your head?
Yeah, it is. That's great. I am very impressed by this. I mean, like the guy, very good singer, a unique voice. He uses it well, and like we were talking about it off camera, at least to my ears right now, I'm not hearing that they've put a lot of effects on his voice. It's dry, and I love that because he's a great singer, and that it almost ups the ante as far as the emotional delivery there. And I'm very impressed by what I've heard.
I hadn't thought about it till you said it during the break, but yeah, I got the feeling there's not a whole lot of processing going on
Yeah.
there. I'm guessing there's maybe a little touch of reverb,
Yeah.
but we've had so many of these indie artists where they're just like layering the reverb on their voices these days. It's kind of become the effect for indie artists. Let's put tons of reverb. It's kind of like their version of the auto-tune that you hear on the dance music. Just tons of reverb.
Which drives me crazy.
I'd rather hear the tons of reverb than the auto-tune, to be honest.
Likewise.
But yeah, it's great. There's just this clear voice, not a whole lot of processing going on. And strong debut. Thoroughly recommend it. And so, what do you got for us?
Well, actually, what I've done a little bit different this show, something that I've done, is I've actually decided to feature the band Big Star. There's probably a lot of our viewers that definitely know who Big Star is. I mean, they're one of the leading and most important artists in the power pop genre. But a lot of people probably have not heard of Big Star.
I would be one of them.
Yeah. So
tell me about them.
So
enlighten me.
So Big Star came about in the 70s. There was a lot of interest, a lot of anticipation that these guys were going to be big, but the band got some hard breaks. They signed to a label. The label went through some problems. The albums were not promoted very well. Then one of the key members of the band left before their second album, but rather than fold, they went on to release a second album that was really great. And what's happened is this year, both their first two albums have been Radio City and #1 Record have both been reissued, and then also the band did kind of with the surviving members and several members of the Posies did a reunion show 20 years ago in their hometown of Memphis, and that's come out on DVD and it's spectacular. So people that wonder what's the big deal about Big Star, they can really see them in concert in front of a hometown, and they put on an amazing performance playing some of their most beloved songs. And what I thought we'd do is play I'm going to go out of order, play something off their second record, but it's maybe a song that's maybe the most infectious or a little bit easiest for people to get their ears around, and it was covered by a very, very well-known band in the 80s. So why don't we listen to it, and then we'll talk about it and everything.
See what I think. Okay.
I was your butch, and you were touch. I loved you, well, never mind. I've been crying all the time. 'Cause sometimes boys got it bad. 'Cause sometimes boys got it bad.
Hey, I do recognize that. I recognize, of course, the Bengals version from a different Light album. Good to hear this original version.
Yeah. And the original version is just, you rewind back to that time, to 1972. It was, you kind of hear echoes maybe of something like the Beatles as far as power pop, but there's something very different about it. I don't know if it's that they were from the South or what it is, but they brought something very new to music, and their influence is pretty profound in these new reissues that they have. The liner notes are by Mike Mills of REM fame.
Oh, okay.
And REM is one of only many great bands. Teenage Fan Club, the Posies. I mean, Cheap Trick. So many bands were influenced by Big Star.
I did not
You
know.
know, their influence is much bigger than their commercial success. You know,
That does
in their-
happen sometimes, yeah.
and it's unfortunate. But time has been kind, and so many musicians have discovered them now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that is great. It's sad only one of the original members of Big Star is still around, and that's a drummer,
Wow.
Jody Stevens, and that's a very sad thing.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do is just read a little bit out of Shake Some Action, which is writer John Borak's authoritative book about power pop. He puts both of the first two Big Star albums as tied for the number 2 album, basically, after the Raspberries. And I'll just read a little bit of what he wrote because it's so appropriate. He says, this is the big one, folks. 24 tracks of slightly skewed Anglo-pop homages from 4 guys from Memphis. These 2 albums were commercial flops when they were originally released, but by the late 70s, power pop fans and musicians alike were fawning over this stuff. And that's very much true. And I think people that love melodic rock, love power pop, love great harmonies, great melodies, with a little bit of authentic dirt in there. I mean, as far as the guitars rock. I mean, these songs are very good songs. They're not bubblegum or anything like that. Just really great band. And I just watched this DVD the other night called Live in Memphis. Like I said, that was recorded back in '94, and it's just fantastic. And you hear the songs from the '70s albums, delivered, and the audio quality is very good. It was a 4-camera shoot, so it was a really great chance to kind of see the band. And this is pretty much kind of like probably the last chance we'll have to see something like this from them. But it's a legendary band, and what happened is, like I said, power pop audience of musicians know who Big Star is, but I think now a wider audience is getting to know their music, and that's great.
Including me.
And including you.
Including me,
exactly.
yes. Okay, well, good.
So,
Right.
and I thought, why don't we go out and listen to a little bit of something off the other album that we didn't do, and this song is called 13, and we'll listen to a little bit of that
13.
one before we go out.
All right, I'm curious. Here we go.
Telling what we said about painted black. Rock and roll is here to stay. Come inside, well, it's okay. Now shake you.
And that was 13, one of my favorite Big Star songs. I just think it's a great song. It kind of captures young love and just kind of love of rock and roll in one song, and very quietly, but just some beautiful, artful harmonies, and just a really great song.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say about these reissues from Stax is both albums are reissued, I don't think without any bonus tracks. They're basically the way the records were originally back in '72 and '74. The liner notes are the same from Mike Mills, and but it is a great story. He talks about how he learned about Big Star through Peter Buck's record collection, and it's kind of a neat story. But I think the key thing here is the music itself, and like I said, I would encourage you to get both these 2 albums and also the DVD Live in Memphis.
It's finally been remastered after all these years.
Yeah, and it's great for this concert to finally be out too. That I think kind of completes the picture. The band's history unfortunately was short and very tragic. How, like I said, the majority of the members now are gone far too soon. But I have no doubt that Big Star's music will live on, past my lifetime and everything.
And I'm sure fans are glad to finally be able to get the albums as they were originally released.
Yeah, exactly. And they sound fantastic.
Because my understanding was prior to this, you could only get them like on a compilation.
Yeah, on a compilation, or like they were both joined together. But because there was a slightly different lineup on the 2 albums, and they do, I think, I think it's important to kind of hear them as separate releases,
separate entities,
because they were different times and different things in the band's history. And I think it's critically important for discerning listeners to kind of get to know them like that.
I have learned something new, and hopefully our viewers have too. And hopefully we piqued your interest on the releases that we are discussing today. And want to thank you all. Well, I want to thank you first for bringing that in. Thanks for educating me on
and
this.
Thanks for bringing
Hozier.
Hozier.
Actually, there's been some debate about his name. He says apparently there's multiple pronunciations.
Oh, really?
Hozier. He's been asked about it. He said they're all good.
He's very talented, whatever his name is.
And apparently he's not real finicky about his name either. And but we hope you've enjoyed what you've heard enough to want to check it out further. If so, please click under Show More or More Info here on YouTube. where you can link to our blog, which will link you to where you can listen to more audio samples on Amazon and purchase and show your support, not only for the artists involved, but for everybody who brought this music to you. And we thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And we thank everybody, including you, and you, and you. Yeah, for sharing our videos on Facebook and on Twitter. No, seriously, I know we're kidding around here, but pretending like we can actually see you, but we really can't. All we're looking at is a camera.
We wish we could see everybody.
But we wish we could see you all. And but no, seriously, we really appreciate that you share it on Facebook. Every time I see that little notification, so-and-so shared your video, I'm like, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And anyways, though, but thank you so much. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you later, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Bye.